What's up guys, it's Mehdi from Embosoft. Welcome back. Today we are going to create FastAPI Authentication web app with token cookies. Actually, it should be an interesting video because we will work with override class from header, FastAPI, and we will work with cookies. And as you can see, we are going to create sign in, sign up, and protect website. Web page actually to check everything is working, sign up user and sign in, create the cookies. Actually token cookies, we are not going to create to save any username password in cookies, just should be token and verified token, password and hash password for database. As a default we have FastAPI simple or just MRP or MRV. Actually in this tutorial FastAPI work with the repository instant controller, but the name, actually the structure is the same. Should be we are going to do an operation like create, add and get, and for database we're going to use SQLite Database. Of course, for front end, we'll work with Jinja 2 and custom CSS and JavaScript. Okay, great. Now let's just start just from terminal. I'm going to my dev directory. This depends to you, and here create FastAPI, for example, cookie directory and FastAPI cookies. Just from here, I'm just going to open my Visual Studio Code. Let me to close another page that we don't need. Okay, great. Now before start, let me to put it here. Now just from terminal, I'm going to create virtual environment by typing Python 3, of course, and VNV and the same name for my virtual environment. As you can see, it's created successfully. Now is the time to source just VNV, the name, bean, and then active our virtual environment. The next step is to install some dependency or packages. Just ubicore to run our Python, and actually should be something like web server to run our Python code. And we need to pip install, of course, FastAPI. And let's do more than bigger, and this pip package manager need an update, and we do that. Okay, great. And from here we're just going to create the file main.py. Now we can import FastAPI, import at the first, maybe it's not difference, and from FastAPI import FastAPI class. Okay, now the next step is to create the instance just by typing app equals FastAPI, and now just simple endpoint, for example add app dot get, for example. From here new def method, for example I name it main, and just return a message, welcome to Fast cookie. And now it's time to run our project. If name equals constructor of app instance, just u=.run. What we need to run is this first the name of our file. In this case is the main, and the second the instance from FastAPI class should be app, and reload of I want to have a reload to true. Okay, now just let's do sorry, run our project by typing python main.py. As you can see, if I run our project, message welcome to FastAPI. Okay, great. Now the next step, actually we can check from here under docs. You can see our docs is working as well, and as a default you can see tags is default. We can change it. Is tags, or maybe we will do it later. At this time is not important. Okay, the next step is our FastAPI structure database, and model should be routes, and what we need is schema and static and template. I will copy paste our front end side, and of course we need security for create a token and hash pass, and I think it looks good. Let's continue from database. From here I create a connection .pay or db.pay. Of course we can FastAPI SQLite. Now I can just copy paste this stuff from here, and of course we need this declaration. Maybe we can write this code. It's not too much actually. If I find that, it's better. Now it's there. Okay, and of course this dependency. What we need, SQL Alchemy is not installed. Let's stop our project. Pip install SQL Alchemy. Now as you can see it should be installed. Okay, if you want to work with PostgreSQL, you can just active uncomment this line and comment another line. Database name, I don't want to change that, and we are going from here to create an engine from our URL string, actually connection strings. At the end, from dependency, yes, it's the same structure from SQL Alchemy. You don't need to understand anything, but what's important to create the instance from your database, and after use this database sorry, instance should be closed. Let me close that and come here. We are going to start from model, or before we are starting to model, or it's better to create model. User model.pay, and what we need from here, from user model, of course we are going to create a class, but I need to add some header from here. SQL Alchemy, for example. What we need our fields, boolean, of course, column next step is you don't need to install Pydantic. Actually, it should be installed from FastAPI base model, or we can use this Pydantic base model for our schema. I'm going to do something else. Just from database.connection import base, our instance from database. The next step is to create class. I just want to create this class from here, that save it time. Now, as you can see, we are going to create a class. Class is user, table name should be user. If you don't create a table, and it should be the name, should be the same name actually. And the table should be get the name from your class. If you delete that. And as you can see, we have email, username, password, and is admin or is active. Perfect. And the next step, we are coming back from here to main.py. What we need to do, we need to configure our database. To do that, just let me from model.userModel import you, or maybe it's better from model import user model. Now, before at all, I want to create our database. Database will be created and create a table for all. Before we are going to do any CRUD operation, we want to create a table and database for user model. Just typing user model dot base metadata dot create, of course create all, and bind should be engine, and this engine is coming from database, and from database dot connection I'm going to import engine, and this SQLite engine. Okay, that should be config db. And now if I run our project, should be create database. Let me do test. Python main.py. As you can see, database is created successfully, and if I open that, open database, dev cookie, database, open user, browse user, we have email, username, password is admin and is active. Great. The next step, we are going to work with routes. Before I starting to work with routes and other stuff, I just want to copy paste statics file and templates file, because I'm not going to write any HTML code here. Just it's pretty easy. From my directory, I will going to find that. Static and template. Just from here and paste it there. As you can see, I have a static file, custom CSS, but at this time I don't write anything more because I am going to use Bootstrap, custom icon or images, and you can write more. You can create a more directory for JavaScript, or you can create custom font, I don't know, or for anything else that you need, you can create it. And from template, in this video, actually I'm not going to create admin dashboard, but it's my goal actually. After this video, after create sign up and sign in and all the stuff from user authentication, authorization. I will work with admin, and I will show you how you can manage your admin. And the next step is to what's important for us for auth, sign in and sign up. And we have front for just simple front-end website. Okay, now after add these two stuff, it's time to configure our template and statics file. Just from main config static and config static, of course, and what do we need to templates. Before we're starting, we need to from here Jinja 2Py, we need to install that. Just copy, and I think we don't need to install anything more. Okay, now is the time to add to here from here. Add a first from FastAPI dot statics import statics import statics file, and from FastAPI templating from FastAPI dot templating import Jinja to templates. Okay, now let's come back from here. Just app that mount. What we need to config for, of course, for our statics file should be the path of a static file is referred to this path, and the statics file take some parameter or some, actually, as you can see, it says constructor from statics file class. I get this directory is then it should be the name of the directory, and should be the path of directory. The name of directory should be static as well, and we can, as a default, HTML should be true. Let me to open this class and fast check some stuff from here. And as you can see, we have directory HTML, and I think it's enough. Okay. Now what we need to do from template, I created templates instance, and from Jinja 2 template, as you can see, if I open that again, we should have some property and directory. It's too important. Actually, this is the constructor. We need to implement this kind of directory. Okay, now come back again. Just from here, directory should be the name of our directory is templates, and I take this name templates. What we need else, and of course everything's under template. The next step is we are going to start with route. As you can see, as a default, or I have already created this endpoint, but we don't want to have any endpoint in main.py, and it's more cleaner from here. Just create a new file. I name it, for example, user route that way. Okay, great. Now it looks better. The next step is to to configure our template and create the instance from template and some other stuff. At the first, from FastAPI, we need to import some dependency. Some classes actually is depends and API router request, of course, and form as well. I think we don't need any form, but because I usually use another things, response and status. Okay, great. And what we need is from SQL Alchemy just.org import session, and for our database instance, and I need from FastAPI templating import ginger to template, and of course we need access to our database from database connection import get db. And what we need else, I think at this time should be enough. Let me to continue from here. Just instance again from API router. I give it the name, so for example user router should be actually for our router, for user router, and API and templates. Of course we can copy paste from here to save time. Okay, now our first endpoint should be user route that get under index, for example path. I'm going def get index request should be request, and from here return templates dot template response. Now that should be our index endpoint and should be referred to home page, and our home page under template under front, home, and index file. And I can just say front home index.html. Now it looks better. And of course we need to return request. We can say just request should be request. Okay, now as the same command for without any things, I just wanted to refer to this home page as well. The next step after create the instance from API router and create the endpoint is time to configure this endpoint to main. To do that, just config It's pretty easy. Just from routes import maybe import user route, and now I can say app.include router user route dot user router. Okay, great. Now let's run our project. As you can see, as a default, should be returned to this endpoint, this index file, and it's pretty great because if I change it to index, should be work as well, and that should be our endpoint for home page. And the next step is to sign up user and sign in user, and of course should be interesting, and to save information in user information and user token, not in header instance in cookies. As a default, as you can know, docs, all stuff from security, FastAPI save this information in header, but now we want to save all information in cookies, but of course not as username password, as a token. Great. Now let's continue. Just again from here, I need another endpoint to sign in, or at the first sign up, and get, for example, I don't know which name, get sign up, and sign up is under out and sign up. Now I can say okay, great. Now as you can see, we are access to sign up endpoint, and the next step is to post. Actually, we are going to get this everything from here, and to do that, let me to close this. It's better to work from here. Just, I don't know, I have, where's that? No, I can clear everything from here. Okay, great. Now the next step from here, again create a new, but this time not get, post, and I given this name, for example, create a new user, create new user. This looks great. And what we need to do at the first, before we are going to create a user, we need, let me to add some dependency that we need to create a user. At the first should be a request. Of course we need to get a request after sign up, and we need a database to save the data, and I say db equals, or just from session, should be depends on get db, that is coming from here. And what we need else, we need to get email and password from Frontend. From here we need to get this email and password, and this both information we can manually actually write it from here, or we can do some things better from out to password request form. Just I say for data equals out pass, then it's coming from FastAPI security from FastAPI security. What you need to do, import out password request form. You need to add this file. Okay, now I can say out password. Now of course should be dependent on this file, and to do that we can say equals depending on this endpoint. Great. The next step is to, before we are going to create a new user, we must to be sure this user is not existing in our database. Now let me to install this pip install Python multibar is required. Okay, how we can be sure this user is not exist and we are allowed to exist new user? I create new instance db user, or let me to do before at all from controller or repository, change this name what you need or what you want. And I create control. Oh, I didn't create any folder. Okay, we need another folder, repository or controller. As depend to you which name you want to use, and I give user controller. Now what's important to here, I can't, or I can just copy two things that we need. We need of course, let me to copy paste to save time. Create a user. Get before we are going to save a user, we need to connect to database. Actually, we are creating a connection string. Sorry, and after that, we are going to create an instance from user class and send this instance to here, and add this instance to sorry, add database methods. We should be save our information as a parameter instance class to database, and commit should be confirm that. Get user, actually should be get all user. I think we don't need this at this time, and get user by username should be take username and search filter that in database, and should be return boolean true or false, or actually it's not return boolean because it's first actually should be return our row from this user if exists. Okay, good. Now from here I can say user from controller, import user controller. Now I can say user controller get a username, user by username. As you can see, the first parameter is db, and db we have already created instance from our database from session, and we give it this name db equals db. Yeah, some people write sys is coming from sessions, but I prefer to have this name. And the second parameter is username, and how we can get this username from here, from here. This, as you can see, we have email, we don't have any username. And if I run this command, from data has username, password, scopes, and some other stuff. Let me to open this class. As you can see, we are going to work with this stuff. We don't have any email. And yes, actually I want to do some other things. At the first, of course, I'm going to create email, and I need to create constructor self.email. Should be email. And what's important, as you can see, when we define this email as not optional, we get the error when we are not send three actually, username, email, and password. In our project, we just want to send email and password. I can say username is optional. Okay, great. Now, so it's better. And it's pretty great. It's open source code. You can change it actually as you want, as you need. But I want to keep this username. And why? Because as a default, FastAPI structure worked with username to authentication, authorization, docs, input docs. But you can change Okay, now the next step, I'm coming back. And of course, from here should be email. Why should be email username? Because I want to, after sign up user, I want to get this email for username as well. That means email and username are the same. Okay, now I just need to say username equals form data.email. Or actually, if I save both for the same, you can say username as well. It's not difference because both is the same. You can choose what you want. It's not difference, because I will show you the next step. Okay, if db user, if user exists, what we need to do, we need to create the error, and I can say, I don't know, maybe email is or all already exist, or try another email, or try another information, your information is not correct, or something else that you want. And the next step to, and of course, if it's not, then user it's not register, we are not going to redirect user anywhere. Should be stay there and get an error. And from here error should be error. And maybe with status code, I don't know, maybe status code 301. Okay, now it looks better, of course. And if user is not exist, else no new user, new instance class. We are going to create a new instance from user class, and user is coming from model. Okay, what we need for our user, we need email, and this email should be form data dot email, and user name, and as you can see again form data dot. As you can see, it's not the correct way that I am doing here, because it's not recognize my argument or my parameter here is any, is coming any. There are two different ways. We can from here just easily create a constructor for this class, or from schema we can create user schema. From here we can create a schema to create a schema for our user, to create this user. There are two different ways. It's better to create a schema, and it should be pretty, and two more, for example, a schema for get username, a schema for get. It's like a constructor with one parameter, two parameter, three parameter, or all parameter. And this schema looks work like this. You need to create a schema for create, you need to create a schema for the get, or for I don't know, for any operations you have. You are allowed to have a schema, but I try to suspend the time. Okay, and now what we need else, and password should be form data dot password. And what's important to know, these names from here, username, email, and password, you must have this name. If you change this name, if you have a separate name from here or something else from out, sign up, as you can see I have the same name, email and password. If you have a separate and another name, it's not really work it, because cannot find this name to get this name and put it in your form data. Okay, after that, and username should be, I don't get the email username from Frontend, I get the email, but I have already said I can say email. That means username and email should be same. And what I need else, user control dot create user, need two parameter db equals db and new user instance class, but I think at the same the name, sign up user, new user. And of course after that I just want to return just let me come back, and from here we can say return to after sign up, return to sign in, and we don't have any error. We have user to sign to return. Where is this user? It should be here, of course. Error is status code. Okay, now it looks good. Let's test that. I'm going to sign in. We don't have, actually we don't need that this time, but I can create it as well. Sign in, sign in. Okay, now it looks better. Okay, sign in, sign up. Now just test at test.com 1, 2, 3. Okay, after sign in, actually as you can see, refer me to sign in. So after sign up, refer me to sign in. But if we're going to check if it's worked, as you can see it's worked, great. We take this information from database, and as a default admin it's not active, of course, and as you can see password is not hashed. We must do hash password as well. And what's interesting to know, we have the same username and email should be the same actually. And what's happened if I try to create this email again? Of course email already exists. We take this error. Okay, actually it still looks good. Now the next step is time to work with what's here. The next step is to work with sign in. Okay, for sign in I just want to again spend some little time and copy paste, and I will show you what I want to do. And actually after sign in I just want to return token from token class, for example in schema or in our class, is where you want. Actually we can create something in schema. From schema, just from Pydantic import base model, and from typing import and class token from base model, and this is the dictionary structure. We need access token, and we need token type, and should be str. Okay, now let's come back and let's do add this token from schema and should be the first step. The second step, as is the same as well from sign up, we need to get actually sign information. We need to get from data, email and password, but we can copy paste all this security stuff. You can copy paste from FastAPI documentation, but need some change. I have did copy all stuff from there to here. Actually, you can copy paste or you can copy everything of this stuff from GitHub. They should be there. And at this time, we don't need this. Or maybe we need this actually. What is that? What we need at this time? What we need to do step to step. We need okay, and the next step, as I need to put it another side. Okay, the next step is to, of course, is to path this, config this path, and this cookies file should be our custom file for our cookie, and I will show you what I want to do. And at this time we are going to work. Don't worry about the other stuff, but at the first, get a password should be important, and verify password. That means from here, when we are going to save new instance in database, I can say from all stuff that is coming from form, security or user auth, actually security should be, and let me to add it from here, from security import auth security. Okay, now I can say auth security dot get password hash and for dot password. That means before we are going to save or create the instance from user, we want to hash pass, and then we are going to save hash. And again from here, now from here, from authentication, we need another authentication method to controller, and I just want to copy paste again this authentication stuff. What I need to do, verify password is coming from security. We want to authenticate user. Actually, we can put this authenticate here, but it's complete. It's depend to you where you want to put, because here is our CRUD. Actually, it's better to put it another here. Okay. Now, or as you can, let me to put it here, but you can change it, because I must to call this method from this page to another page. And now, as you can see, it's take two parameter, username and password. At the first, if I try to log in, at the first take this username and looking for this username at first. If this username exists, okay, the first step should be should be sure this email or this username exists. And the second is the password should be verified, because we are going to hash password in database, and at the first we need to verify pass, and of course we need to check this path, and after that, after two-step authentication, we should be return user. Okay, now if I come back to user route, authenticate user, we are going to send username should be the email that is coming, and password is our password. The next step, after we are authenticate user, we get this user, as you have seen, we are return user. We take this user from here and we check if user not exist, and from here, if it's not exist, we will return user to sign in again and take some error, for example incorrect account information. Okay, if user exists, is it time to create a token and save this token is cookies, and time delta is coming from here. I can just want to from data time, and import time delta. And why we need this time to we need this time to create or to get to get the time and create a expire for our token. And from here, and the next step is to create access token. How we can create an access token? Again, from our security stuff, here we have one method to create two methods for get a password and verify password, and here create token. You can just copy paste this stuff. Code actually is the same structure from FastAPI documentation, and we are going to take a two parameter data. Actually it's too important for what from what you want to create token. From user username, from user is active, from user is admin, user password, for any information from user, or for all information from user, or from user instance you can create a token. That means in token save all information from user. And the next step is expired date for this token. Now as you can see from here, create token and sub user.username, and expire delta should be the time that we want to expire. And this access token expire minute I have already created at the default 60 minutes. Security key algorithm to create a access token, because we need, before we are creating token, we need to say with which algorithm we want to create token, and with which algorithm we must to verify this token. And this is security key. You can change it as well. Okay, now redirect response is coming from star at dot responses import redirect response. Now we have this redirect response as well. After create a token, I just want to redirect users to index page. And what's important here to save token in cookie, and then return a response. Okay, now actually it looks good, but let me to check. Let me to run our project. Okay, what's wrong here? We have some error from just, yes, of course, because I'm not installed that. I think, I'm not sure. Python JAWS, I think, is that pip install Python JAWS. No, Python JAWS. Okay, now it looks better. And of course, actually, pip freeze all to requirements .txt. And now let me to run this code again. Now again we have another error, cannot import auto cookies from cookies, of course, because it's not recognized at this time, and we don't need this time. Get a current user, of course, at this time we don't need. Okay, now if I open our project, I'm going to sign up new user, test2, and 1 2 3, Control S, and sign up. Okay, I have some error from here. Pip install stuff. Okay. Now again, run our project. Okay, now run. Okay, it should be saved, and I'm redirected to sign in. If I open from here, you can see we have username, email. Okay, and here hashed password. Great. And what should be important to know, we are from here, we said we want to, after create token, we want to set this token to our website homepage. And if I check from inspect application token, I'm not signing. Test2 password 1 2 3. Sign in. As you can see, redirect me to home page, index, and welcome to home page, has created token, and this is to improve. This is pretty good actually. It's interesting to know this access token, this is the name of our token, and this value of our token. It's great. Now let's do minimize that. As you can see, we have token, and that means we are safe token in our cookies website. Now it's time to it's time to work with verified token and cookies stuff. What I have already did, and let me to on command here and here. What's this class out password beer with cookies? This class actually is not exist, and I override this class from here. If you're coming to here, out password beer, this class to authorization and authentication user, it should be used, and but what's different is get this token from header, but we want to get this token from cookies. What I have already did, I just copy this class, and in cookies just from here copy paste, and what I need to do just from here, that was header, we need to pass it to cookies. That means take cookie from website cookies and check, and actually is verified to token. Get this token and verify this token. If token is exist and token is verified, then it should be recognized and it should be authorization user. And then this stuff or this operation take user from web and return this should be our authorization method. That means from here, if I cookies out pass cookies, and what's important to know, and you should to know, this token URL should be the same path of from here. If here we are going to create a token under this endpoint, and this endpoint should be our token URL. If you have different name, should not be work. And okay, actually, and the next step here, this auth schema should be our recognition, our authorization method. That means for any protect the endpoint, we can call this get current user to authorization actually and authentication user. That means how should be work? If I come back to here and create a new endpoint, event, for example, and refer to front event. Just let me front event if, and how can I say this event if I open this event, as you can see, I allow to call this page without any recognition, but we want to protect this page. And to do that, we have already created this stuff to save and verify token, and we have some stuff we need to call this get current user, because this current user depend on this path and should be recognized user. That means from here, token URI, from this method, from this class that we have already created, we will take token from web page cookies to these methods, and from these methods we want to decode this token, and after decoded this token we want to return. And now and this should be our recognition or authentication user for any endpoint. Just let me to copy this path and come back to here, maybe to here, of course, and we are going to say we need request, of course, and current user, for example, equals user, and depends that help us to secret this endpoint at security that get current user. And of course, okay, and after that, if is authentication and it should be working, and if we are authenticate this user, we want to return to template and to event page that allow to actually without this stuff it's allowed to call this endpoint, but from this security get user current user we must to be sure that is protected, and after that we want to return a user should be current user. Okay, great. Actually that should be ours, and I think it's really clean code, and I like that. Of course there are more than, and we can do, and we can improve this code more. And let me to check. Okay, just run our project again. Okay, what's wrong here? Source being active, and Python main.py. Oh, of course, this. Let me to do that. Okay, now it's time to run our project. Let me to copy that and run this path. Welcome to home page. Inspect. We can see from here we have application. At this time we don't have any token, and if I try to access to event, authentication is not recognized. We can make another page to understand that no authentication, that means user is not authentication and it's not allowed to access this page. And what should be interesting, I can show you from docs. And you can see our event from here is Sue, and it's not be worked and we cannot access to this token, no authentication. And let me come back and sign in, or again create a new for example test 3 @gmail or @test.com and 1 2 3. And after sign up I will redirect to sign in, and 1 2 3. After signing, I take this token, as you can see, and from cookies we are going to save our token. And if I go to event, now it should be test3test.com, welcome to private event page. That should be work as well, and it's perfect actually. I like this, that, and it should be worked correctly and should be interesting. But what I want to do in next video, of course there are too much to do, and what I want to do and what I think it's interesting to do, I want to, when I come back here, I just want to work with this remember me, that how we can save actually these expired times. We can have a variable or custom token time to save this token for any times actually, or forever, or something else. And I just want to sign up and sign in user from social media, some things like GitHub on Google. And of course we need to do, because at this time after login I don't have a log out here. Here is sign in as well. Actually I couldn't to do all the stuff in one video, but now it's about I think 1.5 hour, and maybe for next video. But I hope you enjoyed this video and this tutorial, and should be interesting for you. And see you next. Bye.